Good evening, everyone. My name is John Nichols. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully you can. Okay, awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Nichols. I am the business program coordinator for the Emancipation Economic Development Council. There I serve and work tirelessly, as we all do, for our Black businesses and the residents of their ward, and just the city of Houston in ensuring that we are doing our part to drive economic development for the residents, the stakeholders, the stockholders, and the community at large. Excuse me. So thank you so much for attending our Black Business Bootcamp. This is our second workshop. The first, we'll put a link in to watch the first video if you haven't had a chance to see that workshop. I'm joined today with our facilitator for today and trainer, Google Digital Coach Joy Hutton, as well as Dr. Muhammad. Because this is, of course, a partnership, we do things together. And so we are able to partner with the Emancipation Park Conservancy, who was able to include us in this opportunity as it is sponsored by Comcast, NBC Universal, and then was able to talk with the beautiful, amazing, can do anything that everything I can think of, she can definitely do. Like she just, she's definitely the workpreneur, the entrepreneur, the pay my invoice, the I can have it all business owner and advisor and trainer and all around sound business mind that we all desire to be as entrepreneurs. So super excited to have her facilitate with us through this Grow with Google partnership. And so that I don't continue to murder and butcher all of these things, I am going to pass it off to Dr. Muhammad, who will share a quick bit about Emancipation Park Conservancy before we hand it over to Joy for our workshop tonight.
John, thank you for that introduction, and don't feel like you were rambling, brother. I was with you all the way, and I am 100% in support of everything, all of the accolades and praises that you have heaped on Joy here. She is absolutely amazing, and we are very much blessed to have her working with us. As John mentioned, my name is Dr. Muhammad Abdul Rashid. I am the manager for programs and strategic partnerships here at Emancipation Park. Emancipation Park was established in 1872. In June, we'll be celebrating our 150th anniversary. It was established by formerly enslaved African Americans who came together to create a safe space for the African American community and Reconstruction to both celebrate their freedom, but more importantly, to build community in every sense of the word, to build business, entrepreneurship, education, as well as family and community. We continue that legacy here at Emancipation Park Conservancy by supporting that legacy through our mission, and our core values are education, economic empowerment, as well as health and wellness. We are very happy to be partnering with EEDC, as well as Comcast Universal, in bringing business tips and strategies to the community. So with that, I will turn it over to Joy to lead us this evening. Joy?
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad and John, for those introductions and wonderful accolades. I need you guys to hype me up on every training workshop that I do. So I'm glad to be back for another workshop today, and so excited to be doing this series with you all, especially as a part of Black History Month. So if you are in the right place, we are here for Make Better Business Decisions with Google Analytics. And if you were here with me last week for Google Ads, the workshop on Google Ads, I touched a little bit on the importance of Google Analytics. So what I love about, a lot of the tools that Google has for small businesses is that they are user friendly, and most importantly, they are free. And we love free 99 as entrepreneurs. So going to talk about that free tool today, and Grow with Google. It's all about helping people grow their skills, their careers, their businesses by offering these free digital skills trainings and tools. So You guys got an introduction to who I am, but I am Joy M. Hutton, and I'm just gonna pull up my slides quickly. Let me just share my screen here. 1 second. Okay. Right, here we go. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Thumbs up? Yes. Okay, great. All right. So I am Joy M. Hutton, as you already know, and I am the founder of Joy of Consulting, a management consulting firm. I like to say we manage the chaos of people and processes. And I'm also the founder of a beauty tech startup called On the Go Glam. And it's an on-demand platform that provides beauty services to men and women in the comfort of their home, hotel, or office. So again, this workshop is making better business decisions using Google Analytics. And you can reach me at joyhutton@google.com if you have any questions after the workshop, but feel free to drop those questions in the chat as well. I'll be checking, looking over periodically to see if you all have questions. And then on social media, I'm at joy_m_h. So if you want to screenshot anything and share it on social media, I'm happy to repost you and let people know how fabulous this workshop was. Okay, so we're gonna set the stage here. Getting data is not the problem anymore, but we have big data. And so Google's opportunity is to take this huge amount of data and make it manageable for people to enable them to interpret it. And so we need to find the interconnections, the patterns, the themes, and build in context for genuine understanding. And so the ultimate goal is to provide actionable insight that you can use to prove and disprove a hypothesis. And so if you're business owners, we've heard about that. If you've done a SWOT analysis, you've walked yourself through a hypothesis. But what this quote serves to remind us is that getting data is not the problem anymore. Because again, we have big data. So if you're already using Google Analytics, data on your web presence is being collected as we speak. So Google's opportunity with analytics is to take this huge amount of data and make it manageable for people. So want to make sure that they are able to interpret it. So yes, so that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to use Google Analytics to grow your business and not simply to look at a bunch of numbers, because we don't want to do all that. We want to get to the fun stuff. So first, let's define insights. Insights help you create more effective business solutions. So using strategies informed by real consumer truths. So whether those are brand strategies, creative ideas, product innovations, or media plans. But the trouble is that insights are a little hard to pin down. So if you ask 100 people, you'll get 100 different responses about an insight. So what is clear, though, is that when businesses look to Google for help with finding insights, they're not just looking for data. Insights are based on data, but are novel, they're credible, and actionable enough to unlock new opportunities. So a great insight is unexpected, yet obvious. And an insight should also inspire action, and it must be useful. So you're probably thinking, okay, we hear about these insights, how do you find it? And that's where Google Analytics can help. And again, guys, if you have questions throughout, don't feel bad about asking questions throughout. I'm going to be checking the chat. And if you want me to see your beautiful face, turn on that camera, because I don't want to just be talking to myself over here. I like to see the crowd's reactions to things. Okay, so we're going to define a few terms used in today's workshop. And the first one is data. You've heard me say that 5 times already. And this is the info that you obtain from your users. So demographic info, behavior, activity. Then you have analytics, and these are the patterns and trends discovered in data. So it's how you make sense of it all and uncover meaningful trends. And then there are insights. So these are the value you gain from data and analytics. And insights, again, should be actionable and prescriptive. In other words, you know what to do next. So an example is, let's assume that you have an e-commerce website, and I'd love to see who's in the room. So if you have a business, please drop that in the chat, drop your Instagram. I love to see who's in here because I like to use real live examples when I'm doing these workshops. So feel free to drop your business, your Instagram handles, because you never know who you can connect with while you're in here. So if you have an e-commerce website, for example, data will show you that you had 1,500 visits to your website in the past 30 days. Analytics will show you that 30% access your site from mobile devices. And then insights reveal that your visitors using mobile devices are 60% more likely to convert. That's the number you want to know. But if you're new to data and analytics, the reports can be a little bit overwhelming. So let's look at ways to use data to help make decisions instead of relying on gut instincts. And this involves using tools to see patterns in customer usage. Before diving in, you need to identify goals so you can ask the right questions. And we talked about this last week with the ads. You need to know what goals you want to accomplish with those ads. So I see, okay, let's see, we have lamb and honey. Okay, well, we know you got about 10 businesses, John. He's just dropping all your businesses.
Well, no, so sorry, just a quick note. I sent out my personal link for the Zoom sign in. So there's several people. It's a good time to mention this.
Oh yeah,
there's several people that are logged in.
Here.
Yeah, that are different, but they after me. So if you would please just click the top right, the little 3 dots in the top right of your own little picture window, and then you can rename yourself. Yeah. So
okay, because I was like, I know you got multiple businesses. Oh yeah, there are about 4 John Nichols in this room.
Yeah, my tech wasn't techy. My bad.
Yes, it's okay. Okay, yeah. So click those 3 buttons in your box, guys, and then you can hit rename so we can see your real name. That's so funny. All right, so we have Angela with Seller Ledgers. Okay, so Lamb and Honey, your beck and call. Oh, I like that name. All right, would love to know more about that business. Okay, so good job. Thank you for sharing those with me. Okay, so today we're going to start with the basics of using Google Analytics to better drive your business decisions. So during the first part of this workshop, we will discuss what data is and how we use it to drive those business decisions. We will review the questions that you should ask so that you can better understand your customers. And then we'll go into the basics of your Google Analytics account and how to start collecting data. And then we'll also look at some of the reports that help answer questions about your customers and their behavior on your site or your app. And then we're going to show you some advanced reports and how you can make connections between Google Analytics and Google Ads. And then we're going to wrap it up with a few final resources. Okay, so we're going to start again with the basics. What is Google Analytics? So Google Analytics, again, is a free tool and one of the most popular analytics options available. It helps you to better understand your customer experience. It provides the data that you need to understand your customers and make decisions based on those insights. You all just learned that word. So Google Analytics reports can help you learn about customers like demographics and interests, understand visitor behavior on your site and what actions they take, see how customers find your site, and track and record actions on your site called conversions. Okay, so ideally your website leads the user from one page of useful content to the next until they finally convert. The end goal is to get them to convert. So Google Analytics can help you to better understand your audience and the insights their activity gives you so that you can make more strategic decisions for your business. When you know the back end of what's going on with your website, it really is a cheat sheet to how you can convert sales for your business. So there are many different types of reports that can help you to better understand how people found you and then engaged with your website. So learn which search terms and sources drive the most traffic. To remedy a high bounce rate for example, and a misalignment between your visitors and your website's content, examine in detail your visitors' interaction with your web pages, the nature of your traffic, and why those visitors are arriving to your site in the first place. And then you can see demographic information for your most profitable customers. So look for useful ways to segment your users rather than designing one experience for everyone or the average user. You want to look for distinct groups that might have different wants, pain points, behaviors, and you may also begin to understand the characteristics of your most profitable audiences. Then you want to understand what content your audience is most interested in. So evaluating your traffic can help you identify who is and isn't finding your page content to be useful. And it can also drive your decision-making when it comes to the content you decide to highlight on your website. Because again, you're seeing what's working and what's not working. How much time are people spending on one thing and so on. And then you want to evaluate which channels drive the most conversions. So understanding where traffic comes from and what drives their conversions on your website will help you to make smarter advertising, content, and design decisions. So are they coming from Instagram? Are they coming from ads? Are they just directly to your website? That's also very helpful. So you learn about what analytics can do. To start collecting this data, you can create or sign into your analytics account at g.co/analytics. So if you want to follow along, you can do that now. And this is free. So you can either add, when it asks you for a property that is your website or an app that you want to monitor. Okay. All right. So I need to mention that there are multiple versions of Google Analytics. So if you already have your Google Analytics set up and you did that before October 14, 2020, then your reports most likely reflect the older version called Universal Analytics. But if you set up Google Analytics after that date, or if you are setting up Google Analytics for the first time for a particular site or app, then you will see the new version of Google Analytics, and it's called Google Analytics 4, which also is GA4, real fancy. All right, so if you have the older version of Google Analytics set up, you should add GA4 to your account. You will not lose your data, your old data, and the existing reports will continue to collect data as well. But you will be able to access both sets of these reports. So many accounts will have the option to use the GA4 setup assistant. You definitely want to take advantage of that. To do that, you're going to click admin, and you can see it on the screen here. And then you're going to click GA4 setup assistant, and it's usually the first option in the second column titled property. So follow those prompts and the wizard to set this up. It could take about 30 minutes for the data to begin appearing in your new Google Analytics for property. And if you can't use the setup assistant, then there are also detailed instructions in the Google Analytics Help Center. Okay. Once you have created or signed into Google Analytics, you will see a dashboard, and it links to a variety of reports. So reporting lets you visualize data about your users and their behavior across your websites and mobile apps. So again, like I said, it's the cheat sheet to see what people are doing. The default reports answer common reporting questions, but you can customize them to fit your business. You can customize the reports to fit your business objectives. And so the report snapshot shown here is displayed when you click reports in the left-hand navigation, and then you can set any overview report to be the snapshot. And then the right side of the reports highlights a feature called Analytics Intelligence. And so this uses machine learning to help you understand and act on your data. And it simplifies the process of creating reports. So for example, you can type in questions in plain English and get fast automated answers. So you might want to know which channel had the highest goal conversion rate. You type in that question, and Analytics Intelligence will show you a list of channels ranked by conversion rate. So a lot of things here to make your life easier. They're constantly improving these tools, because last year they did not have this Analytics Intelligence tool. You just had to go through the reports to see what those conversion rates were. And then analytics intelligence will get smarter over time as it learns the types of questions users are interested in. And another way to use it is to analyze your data and surface insights on major changes or opportunities. So for example, it can point out that a certain landing page is performing better than another. Okay, so now that you know how to set up your Google Analytics account, we're going to dive into what you can learn from the reports. And just checking in, I see some new people join. I see Renee, Chris, hey Mark. Who else joined? Chelsea's in here. Okay. Yala. All right. Okay. All right. So I want to introduce you to Eva and Ricky. Eva and Ricky are small business owners who sell apparel through their online store. Oftentimes you'll hear this referred to as e-commerce. So up until now, Eva and Ricky have been making most of the big decisions for their business from either their own gut instincts or ad hoc feedback from their existing and past customers. Now, guys, gut instincts is not always going to convert to coins. So you want to use the data and get some real feedback. So they have decided to set up Google Analytics to get a better understanding of what is and isn't working in their online store so they can make more strategic business decisions. So a side note is that the screenshots in the presentation are taken from the Google Analytics demo account to represent Eva and Ricky's e-commerce store. This demo account is publicly accessible and it uses the data from Google's online merchandise store, and you can access it as well to see how Google Analytics 4 works, setting up your own account. So again, you can go to support.google.com/analytics and you can search for demo account, or you can do a Google search for Google Analytics demo account. So you can see how all that stuff is working on the back end and what kind of reports they're running in that demo account. Okay, so back to Eva and Ricky. So suppose they want to sell a new t-shirt on their online store. They experimented with new designs, really liked one of the prototypes, and immediately added it to their website. Gut instinct, see that gut instinct, told them this new design was destined to be a bestseller with their assumed target audience, females aged 35 to 44. Sometimes making decisions on gut instinct works, but again, it's almost always better to base decisions and actions on data. So even decisions that seem to turn out well may see improved results with data to guide the strategy. So Eva and Ricky can probably tell if their new design is selling or not selling based on sales. But without data, they are missing out on a lot of potentially useful information. So worse, they could make incorrect assumptions about what was working or not working, and then make decisions that could jeopardize their own success. So if this new shirt wasn't selling, they might just assume a new design was a flop and cut their prices. But without collecting data, they can't really know what's happening or not happening on the website. And without data, they don't have much information about the customers who are viewing the shirt either. So again, that's where Google Analytics can help. The data from the reports can help Eva and Ricky learn more about their site visitors and what they're doing and not doing to help them make better decisions, okay? So how could Eva and Ricky start to figure this out? And how could you do this for your own business? You want to start by outlining goals. So goals are the customer actions that you care most about. What outcomes do you want? What do you want to improve? One example, you might want to increase web traffic by 50%. And then second, what questions do you need to ask? What info do you need to know to achieve these goals? So the art of asking the right question is elusive, but incredibly important. And the questions you ask should direct all energy to gathering data and insights for that action. So asking the right question should always be a function of your own instinct and knowledge of the business and customer base. But again, the answers are found in the data. Figuring out which questions to ask gets easier over time as you learn more about Google Analytics. And a quick tip is the questions we ask about offline advertising campaigns often apply online as well. And then once you have your questions, determine which reports can help you find the answers. And a lot of the times your customers will ask you questions. So these can be used to incorporate those into pain points and what customers really need as well. Okay, so let's start with goals. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about SMART goals, but we want to start with the outcome in mind. What do you want to happen? What are you trying to achieve? Everything, again, you do should support your goals. And there are a lot of goals, a lot of different types of goals, like this, like the example I gave about increasing web traffic by 50%. But is that a meaningful goal? So we'll talk about the SMART framework. And is the goal, S is for specific, is the goal specific in detail? Can you track this goal? How will you measure it? That's the M. How will you know when you've accomplished it? And is this goal realistically attainable? For the A. Will this goal help you reach your business goals? Is it relevant to your business? And then when do you want to achieve this goal? Set a time frame. I know for me, I have to have deadlines because I will procrastinate until 2025. So I need deadlines. So this is a framework I practice often. Okay, so here's an example goal Eva and Ricky might set for their merchandise store: to decrease shopping cart abandonment to less than 60% in the next quarter. So they could use Google Analytics to find out how many users were added, how many users added items to their cart over a period of time. They can compare that number to the total transactions during that same period, and they can calculate the cart abandonment rate. And that rate right now is 65%. So then to reach their goal, they might experiment with modifications to the checkout process, because sometimes that checkout process has way too many steps. You making people go through 18 steps just to make one purchase, making people sign up for profiles and not making that an optional thing to do. So they might learn that by simplifying the site or reducing the number of steps or improving the load time for the web pages, because sometimes people's websites are slow, they can start to see improvements and lower the abandonment rate, because they have a pretty bad abandonment rate at this point. So this is just one example of how you can use Google Analytics to track and measure goals. Your goals will depend on your business, whether you have online orders, is it lead generation, user engagement, whatever makes sense to you. So think about what your own goals are, and you can write them down, come back to them later, but keep these goals in mind. If you want to drop any goals that you have, we can refer to those throughout the workshop. But for current business owners, think about the existing goals you might have for your business that you want to monitor and measure with Google Analytics based on the things that we've already talked about. For those of you who haven't created your new website yet, what purpose do you think your website will serve? What purpose do you want it to serve? And then what conversion goals do you have based on the actions you'd like your customers to take? So again, write down those ideas, come back to them. Keep in mind, your website goals may become even more important if your primary business operations have been moved to the online space, which a lot of people have, especially during the pandemic.
Joy.
Okay, so
Joy, sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
Forgive me.
Yeah, no problem.
As you were talking, it made me think of like a couple of quick things that I see normally and daily when working with entrepreneurs. And the first is many times at startup, and I just based on the faces that I see here, I know that there's several of us that are at startup, right? When you start running ads, you're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on advertisement, right? So let's say you have put $1,000 into running ads every month. That's great, but now you need to figure out if those ads are working the way that you want them to work. When you typically pay an ad company to run your ads, they'll give you like base level analytics, but they're not going to do a deep dive unless you pay more money for that. So you pay them to typically create those ads, run those ads, and get clicks from those ads. But you're not paying them to convert those ads into dollars. You're paying them to get the people to your site. What Google Analytics is going to do is tell you what happens when people get there. And so we all make our Kool-Aid and then we go serve it to the world. And sometimes people throw that Kool-Aid back at us, and then sometimes they drink a lot of it. But unless you know why, then you can't create another batch of Kool-Aid that people are going to buy, right? And so like, I hear you talk about how important these pieces are. And I just want to ensure that everybody knows, like, yes, you posted something and now you just got 100 new orders overnight, but you have no clue why.
Exactly.
And Google Analytics is going to tell you exactly the reason, so you can replicate it again and replicate it again and replicate it again. Please know that as much as somebody will tell you to go follow your dreams and your passion and do the work and all of that stuff, like, that's great. And there's a bunch of numbers and a bunch of money, billions and billions and billions of dollars spent every year just on advertising. So trust that there is a process and a system for it. So showing up is only one part. Understanding what's happening in the space that you're showing up to is the other. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
No, I agree with everything that you're saying. And so, and what I was talking about last week with ads, before you put all that money into it, you need to test it out first and see what's working and what's not. Because again, like I was saying earlier, the data is going to tell you what's working and what's not working. So that gut instinct, it's not always reliable. So let's see. Yeah, Ayala said, do you have any goals to focus on for startups who have low ad budgets and haven't launched their service yet? So if you haven't launched your service yet, do you have a website yet? Because you at least need to have a website. If you're running an ad, you need to be driving them to something. So if you haven't launched your service yet, okay, great. So then that would be your goal, to drive people to your website. So maybe you want to drive them to sign up for your newsletter so that they will know when you have launched your service. So that would be your goal. And when you set up your ads account, which is free to set up, you actually can choose that as one of your goals when you're setting it up, because it's drive people to your website, get more calls, or I think drive people to your brick and mortar location. So yeah, you would want to drive people to your website to sign up. And I hope I pronounced your name right. Okay, so let's see, where was I? So, okay, now that we've defined those goals, so hopefully you define your goals. So now Yala has one goal, all right, to drive people to her website. We can consider what questions that you want to ask to meet them. So let's look at some examples of questions to ask to help you to get the answers that you need. So the framework you see represents stages of a business's relationship with customers. And this will help you later to Iyala, I keep calling. Please tell me what your name is so I'm not jacking it up. You can unmute. Or Layla. Is it Layla? I think it's Layla. I see a LJ. Okay, Layla. All right. So Layla, this is a framework you can follow too. So the framework you see, again, represents stages of a business's relationship with customers. So you ask questions and use those answers to move customers through these stages. So first, reach customers with methods like advertising, organic research, or organic search, social media, and offline promotions, and those newsletters. Like I was saying, driving people to sign up to those newsletters. After they arrive, you need to engage them. So don't just collect the email addresses, actually send them some information. Can they find what they're looking for? Are you adding value? Then it's conversion time. The goal, you want to help visitors complete important actions on your site. So for example, they might buy a t-shirt or submit a form with a question about a bulk order, or they may sign up for your newsletter. And then ultimately you want to sustain long-term relationships and get those customers to return. So you can have rewards programs, discounts, and incentives for them to return back to your site. So then you have some reach questions. These help you understand brand recognition and awareness and how people find you online. So for Eva and Ricky, they might start by asking, what are people searching for? Who is searching for it? And how did they find us online? And questions like these are important because if potential customers can't find your business online, then they can't place an order. They can't purchase your service. So based on what they learned, Eva and Ricky might find clues that lead them to examine their website and their communication strategy, how they're reaching people. Okay, and when we talk about engagement and the reports that help us answer these questions. So engage questions that involve discovering how or if people who find you actually interact with your website. Do they navigate to more than one page of your website? Do they watch your videos? Do they search for things on your site? Are they downloading like a PDF or ebook? Do they look at your menu if you're a restaurant? Think about those what other engaged questions that you can ask. So can people easily find your products? Do people create accounts at checkout? Do people download coupons? I remember I was trying to purchase a juice from a company a while ago and I could not find the products. I was going through the menus and then the website was horrible. So make sure that what you want customers to buy is easily accessible. Maybe you want to feature a product on your homepage, feature a service or whatever it is on your homepage, but make it easy for people to find your information. Don't have them searching 15 different links just to get to what people are looking for. Okay, exactly. Make it as easy possible as for people to give you money. Right. Okay, so now we're going to look at conversion insights, and the conversion turns site visitors into paying customers, and this is what you want. So convert questions can help you find out how or if that happens. So once people find you online, are they taking further actions? Do they purchase? Do they sign up for your newsletter? Are they scheduling an appointment, a consultation? Which channels are most effective? Do different calls to action impact sales? And think about these convert questions because this is important. Is it easy to order from the online store? Well, just like I was saying, is the checkout process too difficult? How can it be improved? What social media channels drive the most sales? Are you putting your time and efforts into Facebook when your customers are on Instagram? Are you abandoning LinkedIn when you should be putting more time into Facebook? Should your efforts be ramped up or scaled down? Do coupons help to increase your orders or any type of incentive program, discounts? What type of offers are you offering? Or are offers going to be effective for you? So you have to constantly ask those questions. And again, when you look at reporting and how much time people are spending on your website and where, that's going to help you answer those questions as well. Okay, and then lastly, you want to convince customers to become loyal customers who continue to interact with your business and advocate it to others. Target, they got me as a loyal customer. I'm already in there. So they have done a lot of things to obtain me as a loyal customer. So sustained questions help you understand what customers say about you online. Do they like your products and services? What do they wish you did better? Do customers leave positive, average, or negative reviews? So to meet Eva and Ricky's goals for their merchandise store, they might ask, what are people saying about my business online? Or are they saying anything? Because it might just be crickets. Nobody's talking about it at all. So think about other sustained questions that you all can ask and questions they could ask. If a customer bought a t-shirt, for example, with a specific design, would they be interested in other products like it? Different shirt colors, maybe they use a Google form to ask customers to give their feedback. Who are the loyal and repeat customers? How can they be rewarded? And if people are writing online reviews, where are they being published? Are they on Google? Are they on Facebook? Are there places online where they could benefit from more reviews? So thinking about that too. And I always talk about customer reviews. If you all have reviews, respond to those reviews, whether they're good or bad. You got to respond to both of them. Okay. So once you've started mapping out the questions that you have, it's time to figure out where to find those answers. So Google Analytics offers many customizable reports that can help, that we've talked about. So I'm going to introduce you to 6 report categories to help you get started. So first is the real-time reporting. What's happening on your website right now? If you have signed up for Google Analytics and you go into your profile right now, you can see if there's any activity on your website right now as we're speaking. Second is the acquisition report. Where are you acquiring your users? Is it from Facebook, Instagram, an ad, as I was saying earlier? Third, what is the engagement on your site or app? So you want to run that engagement report. Fourth, monetization, the revenue that you might earn from people coming to your sites. Fifth is retention, how frequently and how long users are engaging with your website. You can see the exact amount of time people are spending on a particular page, okay? And then 6, demographics. Who are your users? Are they in the US? Are they in Canada? Are they in Spain? Are they using an iPhone, an Android? Are they, where are they? What age group? And Google Analytics will tell you all of that, okay? So again, if you set up analytics before October 14th, 2020, then you probably see reports like this example in the screenshot, and that's the Universal Analytics. Some of the reports that you can find in Universal Analytics are real time. So we talked about that one. Audience is another report, and that's an insight into the characteristics of your users, like where they are, how often, and how long they engage with your content, and what devices are most popular with your users. There's also the acquisition report that we just spoke about, and then behavior to discuss how users interact with your site. And that's the same as what we just talked about with the new analytics interface. And then conversion, is your website or app successful? But let's take a look at the reports available in the new version of Google Analytics, and that's Google Analytics 4. Not sure why they picked the number 4, but we're gonna roll with it. So let's start with real time. Real time, again, those reports let you monitor activity on your app or site as it happens. And some of the information you might see are the number of users during the last 30 minutes per minute. You can see it by per minute. Users by source, medium, or campaign. So in other words, again, where your users are coming from. Users or new users by audience. Users by page title or screen name, so you can see what content they're engaging with. Events, so which events they trigger during their visit to your site or your app. And then conversions, which desirable actions that they complete. So with real-time reports, you can immediately and continuously monitor the effects that new campaigns and site changes have on your traffic. So for example, if even Ricky had a chance to showcase their new t-shirt on a popular television show, they might want to know if it had an impact with online activity and sales. And if all goes well, they will sell a lot of t-shirts. So they can use real time to gauge the impact of the big media campaign and use this information to learn and prepare for future events. Because you want to make sure you have inventory too. Don't run out of inventory. Next, we talked about the acquisition report. So in more detail, these reports show data about how users arrive on your website or your mobile app, and they can help you to develop an understanding of how users find your site. And the reports include user acquisition, traffic acquisition, users and new users. So users are all users who visit your site, including both new and returning users. And then the traffic acquisition shows data about new sessions. So the traffic dimensions like medium, and that's the referring channel. Like if it was a click, like somebody just clicked on an ad, for example, and source, where people were before they arrived to your site. That can help you understand how users arrived on your website. So the report includes the word session to indicate that the traffic dimensions are about new sessions. So for example, session medium is the channel by which new and returning users arrive to your site or app. And this information can help you understand the effectiveness of your marketing efforts. So for example, the medium, every referral to a website also has a medium. So possible medium can include organic or unpaid search, cost per click from an ad, or a referral, an email, the name of a custom medium that you've created, or it could just be direct traffic that has a medium of none. And then the source, again, it could be from Facebook, it could be from searching in Google, it could be from another referral website, okay? So third, engagement. So again, these reports help you measure user interactions on your website or mobile app. So engagement includes more than just page views. When it can measure when users check an account balance, when they scroll down a page slowly to indicate that they're reading it. It can indicate when they view product details or spend time on a product page, and when they watch an informational video on your site, or if they're reading a blog or something like that, or they download something, if you have an ebook like I mentioned earlier. So engaged sessions, as you can see here on the screen, are a collection of events that a user triggers within a time frame. So an engaged session and engaged session within a session is either something that lasts 10 seconds or longer, had one or more conversion events, or had 2 or more page views. That will count as an engaged session. So if you have an e-commerce website or an app, you will probably use the monetization reports. So it tells you if people are buying your stuff, basically. So this lets you measure your purchases, your ads, subscription revenue, see how users interact with items such as the products you sell, and measure steps in the checkout funnel. And the reports can help you understand consumer behavior and enhance your monetization strategy. So again, I always tell you guys, it's all about improving what's working and not working. Retention reports help you understand how frequently and how long users engage with your website or mobile app after their first visit. So hopefully you guys screenshot all the reports that you should be running, because this is important to go back and check these reports when you have signed up for Google Analytics. So in other words, do people come back? When, for how long, and what do return visitors do? So one note about these reports, this is a useful metric to consider, but the data in the report should not be taken as absolute truth. Nothing should be taken as absolute truth, because in some cases, technology is faulty and may not track a visitor that previously visited your website, but it's still a good starting point, okay? And then last but not least, we have demographics reports. So the demographics topic helps you classify your users by age, location, language, gender, along with the interests that they express through their online browsing and purchasing activities. Again, a cheat sheet. This helps you build your user persona as well when you're trying to build that marketing plan. So the reports include interactive charts, diagrams, and tables to help you visualize the data. And then as online services, including Google Analytics, move away from cookies, demographic insights are becoming less reliable. But true first-party data, how people are navigating your site directly, not their demographics model via other site behavior, is becoming more important. So this is the information you can find in Google Analytics. Okay, so we started talking about gut instinct versus data. And if we ask Eva and Ricky to list out their gut instinct and compare them to the hypothetical data, they might be surprised by the results or not surprised by them at all, but the reports don't lie. So it might end up that Eva and Ricky discover that most of their gut instincts, which drive their business decisions, are wrong. They assume that their top audience is 35 to 44-year-old females, only to learn that most of their customers are 25 to 34-year-old males. Or maybe they learned that most of the traffic is coming from organic search, not paid ads. But then they learned that the visitors from paid ads are more likely to buy their shirts. And then lastly, they're able to see that most of their purchases are from brand new customers and first-time visitors, not their loyal following as they previously assumed. So bottom line, without data, you're guessing, as Google Analytics can help take the guessing out of the equation. So this is a real life example about how our gut instinct can sometimes fail us, okay? Okay, so let's look at a few ways to refine your reports with some advanced reporting features. So again, if you've already set up Google Analytics, it's likely you've been using dimensions all along and you just didn't know it. So dimensions describe your data. For example, the dimension city describes where a user's session originates. So the values could be Atlanta, Seattle, Chicago, New York. So another dimension could be the device or browser being used. Each report includes a primary dimension, a lens from which you can view the data. So sometimes you may want to dig deeper than that, and that's where your secondary dimensions come into play. The more specific, the better. So these allow you to layer on another dimension to get a more in-depth view of the data that you are analyzing. So for example, you could set the dimension city as New York, then layer on a secondary dimension like browser. So this will allow you to see how many visitors from New York City and which web browsers they use to access your website. Genius. So secondary dimensions are another useful feature that help you interpret reports. So secondary dimension lets you limit the data displayed, so it applies only to the current visualization of the data. So in other words, it temporarily changes the view of the report that you're looking at. But you can use dimensions to exclude internal traffic or traffic from particular geographies, or include only users in specific age brackets, which is great because again, if you're just trying to target a specific group, this is where you can niche it down. So to add a secondary dimension, navigate to the report you're interested in examining. And then at the top of each table of data, look for a plus symbol. Click to expand a menu of options and then choose the items you want to display in the report. And now the report will change to reflect that view. So you can remove that by clicking the X symbol, which resets the report to the default view. So again, take screenshots, guys, so you can refer back to this later, or you can watch the recording. All right, and third, another way to interpret reports is to create segments. Segments help you to analyze and understand the trends of your business by setting up subsets of your data. You can use them to isolate data, analyze performance, and respond to the trends that you see. So for example, Eva and Ricky might want to see if visitors from a particular country buy their t-shirts. Then they could use the segment overlap technique, and that's accessible from the Explorations tab. So now they can compare up to 3 user segments to see how those segments overlap and relate to each other. And then they might want to know if users from a specific country, that's segment number 1, buy t-shirts, that's segment number 2, on mobile devices, segment number 3. So that's very specific because you can get that data, because if the numbers ain't numbering, then then you can make some adjustments, okay? So digging into those segments can help you uncover the insights you're looking for. Novel, credible, and actionable enough to unlock new opportunities, okay? All right, so I talked about that Explorations tab briefly, and this is the tab. It can be accessed from the left navigation. So from here, you can set up segments and dimensions. Plus, you can quickly perform searches. You can easily configure and switch between reports. You can drill down into the data, by sorting it, and then you can share the explorations with other users who have access to this Google Analytics account. And then you can export the exploration data for use in other tools. So really good tool to have within Google Analytics. Okay, so Google Analytics is a powerful tool in and of itself, but it has another advantage. It connects and communicates with other tools such as Google Ads, which you guys learned about last week if you were here. So this allows your Google Ads reports to benefit from the Google Analytics data. So that's if you choose to share it. So why is linking Google Ads to Google Analytics a good idea? Well, there are 3 ways. First, you can learn what happens after your users click your ad. This helps you to understand visitor behavior, specifically paid ad visitor behavior. And this information can help you learn what's working and what might be improved so you can take steps to optimize your campaigns. Then second, you can target specific users based on their previous behavior. And then by linking your Google Analytics with your ads account, you can define customer groups by their activity on your website. So for instance, you can identify the audience who has put 3 or more items in their shopping cart, only to abandon it, which we don't want them to do. But by offering this group a temporary promotion, you may be able to convince them to follow through on the transaction instead of leaving the site. Google Analytics can tell you this. Shopify does too. If somebody abandons your cart, you can send them a quick email right from the app. And I actually do an e-commerce workshop as well. But third, you can better understand your paid traffic and if certain keywords do or do not convert. So by linking Google Ads with your Google Analytics, you'll learn if clicks on your ads translate to conversions on your site, plus all the other information that Google Analytics can help you with that we talked about. So to link Google Ads to Analytics, you must first create an account for each of those products that you want to link. And once your account is set up, you can head over to the admin section of Analytics. And you don't have to have an ad created. You're just linking the accounts. From there, you click the product that you want to connect under the property column. And then the process for each product will vary slightly, but they all involve inputting or selecting the account that you want to link to your Analytics account. So registering all your Google products under the same Google account, your email address, will make linking accounts a lot easier. Otherwise, it gets a little tricky, okay? All right, I know we covered a lot of information today, so let's talk about what you should do next. Hopefully you guys have taken a lot of notes. So the wrap up here, all right, we're gonna some key takeaways. Now that you have your goals, or you should have been writing them down, thinking about those goals, but identify the questions that you need to ask. If you have not identified your goals, that's okay. You can do that later, but after you have defined those goals, identify the questions that you need to ask, and then remember to ask questions based on the phases of customer engagement. That's reach, engage, convert, and sustain. So reach, engage, convert, and sustain, okay? And then you're gonna seek the reports that can help you answer those questions. And here's a train. One moment. Okay. All right, and then finally, if you want to sharpen your business and marketing skills outside of this Google workshop, you can check out Primer. They have short, fun lessons that are about 5 minutes each. You can access that in the App Store or g.co/primer. And then Grow with Google has tons of workshops that you can take outside of taking workshops with me. You can access those at g.co/grow on air. And there are tons of virtual workshops there as well. And then again, even if you're not an entrepreneur, that's fine. Grow with Google is also for job seekers, teachers, developers, everybody. They have workshops for everybody. All right, so the next workshop is, we talked about website today. So you want to have your website in order to use Google Analytics. So make your website work for you. It's here. We're back here as a part of the Black Business Bootcamp. So sign up for that. The link is bit.ly oh, there you go. All right, look at Joylyn, already on it. Okay, there we go. Already there. Okay, thank you, Joylyn, for dropping that. Or I think John dropped it. Okay, great. So the link is there to sign up for future workshops. And then I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for you guys to ask me any questions. And then if you all can fill out the survey, let me know how this workshop was for you. We're constantly changing the content to fit what people need, because sometimes, you know, the content is too dense and we have to change things. So let us know what you thought. And yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and see if anybody has questions, and then we will wrap up. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So like when Google can like list details like, you know, age and gender and stuff like that, how do they acquire that? Like if they didn't like, is that through a form that they fill out when they go to our website, or?
So usually, like, if you have entered that information, if you've ever signed up for an email account or anything where they collect your birthday, your gender, your name, all of that, they have that information, and they share that information. I remember when I found out about how that works with a lot of these companies like Twitter, Facebook. I had gotten a report of the information of my information that had been shared with other companies, and it was literally over hundreds of pages long, like that. And then I always wonder how I get these emails and what have you from people that I never subscribe to, and it's because they're always sharing our data. There are ways to opt out of that. So when you can do a Google privacy checkup and limit what information Google is sharing with third parties. You can do that on Twitter and Facebook as well, but a lot of people don't know. They just get on the apps, they use them, and they don't realize their information is being shared. So yeah, a lot of times when you sign up for emails, if you've ever had to put your birthday on anything, it's shared data. So that's how they're getting it. And then they're also watching your habits. So if you are searching Black history books, Black history, everything, they're gonna populate stuff in your ads dealing with Black history. So they're literally, it's literally intelligence tracking our habits, our interests, our hobbies, what events we're attending. So like now restaurants allow you to, even though it's linked to Open Table and Resi, for example, restaurants allow you to reserve through Google now. Well, they're sharing that information with Google. So now Google knows where you eat. They know what type of restaurants you like, and they know where you're going, what city you're in. Someone showed me the other day on Google Maps. They were like, oh, I don't remember the last time I went to this particular bar. When they pulled that bar up, it was like April 11th. And I'm like, are you serious? How does Google know that? I was like, did you put that in your GPS? Like, but when they put it in their GPS, Google tracked that data. They knew exactly the date when that person went to that bar. And I was like, that's mind blowing. So yeah, when they say the internet's watching, they're watching. Yeah. They're tracking all sorts of data. And even when you run ads, that's how they know who to target, because they have that data. Even if you don't share your birthday on your public Facebook page, or share it as public on your Facebook page, Facebook still knows when your birthday is. So they know when your birthday is, and they know all that stuff. They know where you are, your IP address. You've entered it somewhere. So, yeah, I know. It's crazy, right, Mark? It's crazy. Okay, John.
I was just say there's one other question in the chat about the demographics piece. Looks like somebody took your advice and they started working on it right now.
Okay, hey now, is there a reason why in demographics the only user data is showing country, it's not showing age and gender? So if you just set it up today, it probably hasn't collected that data yet. You have to give it about 24 hours, and then see, it'll start populating all that data. But if it's a new account, it takes about 30 minutes it can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 24 hours. It just depends on the type of traffic that you're getting on your website. But yeah, it'll definitely populate. You'll start seeing the devices, you'll see the gender, the age, yeah, city, country, all of that.
Joy, one question from me real quick, and I know we're over time, so thank everybody for staying. When you sign up for Google Analytics, and you may have mentioned this already and I missed it. So I'm a new business, I'm just starting, right? Put my website in, all of that stuff. Is Google going to grab any historical data?
from like,
Past visits.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only now if you have downloaded historical data from the back end of your website, you can import it into Google Analytics. But other than that, it's just from the date that you started your Google Analytics account. Yeah.
Okay. If my back end data, I'm sorry, so I do have another question. So if my back end data, I use Wix. I downloaded all the historical data, formatted it however Google wanted me to, and submitted it to Google Analytics, right? That's going to show like past customers, their purchases, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a way for Google to then go back and grab demographic information? Now
So that's what I was saying. You can
import
it. You can import it from your website. That would, I mean, if you're real tech savvy like that, I'm not, but the developer, like a developer, someone who's more, versed in the back end of websites and stuff, they can pull that and import it into Google Analytics. But otherwise, Google cannot pull past data. They can only see like what's current.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And one other question. This might be important for everybody else that's watching as well. That's going to go incorporate all of this wonderful tech into their businesses. Are there any specific disclaimers or anything like that you are aware of that need to be posted when you are using Google Analytics to grab this data from people?
Any disclaimers? So, now they have like GDRC stuff, GDRC compliance that you put on your website to let people know that you're collecting data from them. So yeah, there are definitely compliance things you can put on your website to let people know that you're collecting data. I said GDRC, I think it's GDRP. So GDRP compliance, you want to make sure that you have that. And a lot of times when you build your website, depending on who you build it with, they give you the language for that, but you all can look that up as well, just to let people know you are collecting your data. And when you have forms where you're collecting data, have a checkbox, I agree, to, submit this data that's being collected or whatever. Let's see. So Chris said, what data is supposed to be in the dashboard? My analytics account has been set for a few weeks, but it seems the data is limited. So you may have to, it may be that you have only certain reports showing, Chris. So make sure you have the reports that you want data, make sure you have the reports showing in your data dashboard, that you want to collect data for. So like some of the, let me see. Some of the, I'm trying to think, like the acquisition report, the, let me see, monetization if you're monetizing, engagement, real-time reports, audience report, you should see all of those in your dashboard, and you can select which ones you want them to collect data for. And it also, you said it's been for a few weeks too. So you want to make sure it's plugged into your website, because you can set up a Google Analytics account, but if you have not added your website as a property, it's not going to pull the data for that. So make sure you enter your website as well into there. All right.
And Joy, just for clarity, I heard a couple of things coming from people. Google Analytics is giving you information about people who come to your website. So if nobody's coming to your website, then you don't have no data to give. So Google is not doing the research for you to tell you who to go market to. Right. Like that's not what analytics is doing.
Exactly.
So that, just want to make sure that everybody's clear. Like your job is to get them to the site. Once you get them to the site, Google will give you all of the info that you need with regard to Google Analytics.
Exactly. And then if you want to, have some insight on like what people are searching to find your website, you can do that in two ways. There's Google Trends. So you can visit trends.google.com, or if you just type in, you know, if you have like lamb and honey, I'm not sure what lamb and honey sells, but let's just say honey. If you type in honey and you see the related searches to honey, then maybe, you know, those are your target audience as well, because they're searching honey and they're searching something else. But Google Trends, you can actually search keywords, because they can give you some insight into maybe some keywords that you're not thinking about that need to be included in your content. I've recently got a lot of spam commenters. Could that affect your data? Yeah, it definitely can. If they're visiting your website, it could affect your data. Sometimes Google can identify those people and it won't count it, but it's very rare. So yeah, that definitely can affect your data. Not necessarily in a bad way. It might be more visitors to your website, but it can affect your data for sure. It'll be included in those numbers. Good questions, guys. Good questions. Sign up for that Google Analytics. I mean, it literally is like a cheat sheet for knowing how your customers perform and who's coming to your website. Because just like I showed that example, gut instinct versus actual data, we may be thinking one thing, but the data says something else. So being clear about who's visiting your website, and then you can say, oh, I think I need to change some things. Yeah.
So explain to
Hey,
me,
mommy.
oh, hey.
Go ahead.
So like for your website and how Google collects analytics is like you plug in your website domain and or it's like widgets that you have to add to your individual pages or something.
Nope, you just plug in your website. Now you will have to, it'll give you instructions on adding a tag to your, like a Google Analytics ID to your website, but you just enter the website on Google Analytics. That's kind of a more advanced way of tagging data, but you can just enter the website and it'll plug it in. But it'll ask you if you want to put the Google Analytics ID on your website. And that's kind of like a Facebook pixel. So if anybody has ever added a Facebook pixel to their website, that's also a way when you start running Facebook ads to collect data from people, so you know exactly what type of Facebook ads to run. But yeah, so but yeah, you enter the website and then it may ask you if you want to put this analytics ID on your website, because then you can track specific events. But you can still do that in Google Analytics. You just have to put each page that you want to track. Okay, any other questions? All right. Good questions, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Joy. It's a pleasure as always. You're really, really smart. You was smart, you was kind, you was important. we appreciate you. We really do. We appreciate all of this information. Everyone, just really quickly, I posted in the chat a couple times. And Joy's posted as well. We have 2 surveys. Please do ours, both. Ours is only 4 questions. Let me throw a little chat. And that data that we get from ours is what we have to report on, so we can ensure that we get opportunities like this to continue providing workshops like this. So please, and then the other piece is definitely sign up for next week's. And then if you didn't take as many notes as you wanted to take, or didn't get a chance to screenshot anything, tomorrow I will be sending out the link to the recording to everybody who registered. And so you'll have that. If you did not register, you don't remember actually typing in an email address or anything like that, just pop it in the chat for me, and I'll ensure that everybody gets it. That you get included on that listserv who gets the recording. The recording will be live for you to view for 30 days through Zoom. And then we're gonna move it from Zoom to the Emancipation Park Conservancy's YouTube, and you'll be able to watch it there forever. So you can always go back and view again. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody. to all the Johns out there that aren't
Dr. Muhammad, you got anything you want to share before we hang up?
Hey, brother, I think you covered it all. This is one of those Russell Simmons moments. We want to thank you. God bless and good night.
All right.
Good. Y'all have a good
Thank you,
night. Go
everybody.
make some money.
Good
Right.
night.
Bye.
Bye.